All right, so welcome everyone to the 2023 annual conference, virtual. We have a short presentation. I'm officially calling it to order. Leslie, are you taking notes?
Yeah, I should do that as secretary, shouldn't I?
Yeah. So Leslie will take the minutes. So let's see. Right now it's not letting me up. Yep. All right. So just a quick overview of NAFEX right now and who is on the board. So I'm the current president, Chris Heater. I came on as president right before the pandemic in 2019 when we were still meeting in person, and that was at Iowa. Our current vice president is Chris Homanix. Leslie Wade has been serving as secretary and as programs director. Our treasurer is Chuck Wilson. He also has been treasurer since I think 2018. And then Chuck and I have been kind of collectively working on the membership because that was closely tied into the treasurer position and the website, which we had to kind of revise or revamp when we came on. Our board of directors have included Jorge, and I can't see all the names off the top. There we go. Jorge Zalvadere, Larry Stevenson, Tim Lucier, Taylor Yell, Nick Kaskow, Adam Bingham, Dan Bussey, Jeff Hansen, Ryan Race, and Josh Fruiter. We also have
what? Chris, we got to correct those typos in Ryan and Josh's name.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
From last year, and it's Ryan Ross. I said it wrong in his session.
Okay.
No.
Ryan or Josh, if you were on, I apologize. I did this really fast this morning. And then our volunteers on the with website and tech have been Eric Bina and Tim Carr. So a lot of the stuff you guys see on the website and all the videos that get uploaded, they've been working behind the scenes to bring that to you. So that's been amazing. Let's see, I got 50 million pop-ups coming up here. All right, so this business meeting, we're going to do several different things. We're going to review the 2022 meeting minutes and get those approved because that's required. We do follow Robert's Rules of Order for that. Those were published in the Pomona last January, and I'll just quickly review through those and we'll get an official approval of those. We'll do a brief financial review. It's not complete, but I'll go through some of the basics. We'll kind of review a little bit of old business, talk about new business, and then talk about how the elections are going to happen. Since COVID, elections have been really, really very different than what we've been used to in in-person meetings. So I'll go through how that's going to play out. All right, so the 2022 meeting minutes. Now I got to stop sharing this one and share a new screen. Meeting minutes there. All right, can you guys see the meeting minutes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So these are the meeting minutes that we had from last year at this time. Basically, we had 25 participants at the annual meeting. So I think we're breaking the record today with more than 25. We approved the 2021 meeting minutes. I gave a financial update on behalf of Chuck. At that time, we had a total set of assets for the organization around $86,000. We maintained 2 checking accounts, and the reason for that is simply because we had one, and Chuck felt that we would be better served using a different bank, but he still kept the old one open. So we still have 2 checking accounts. We use the big one for all the PayPal membership deposits, and the other one gets used for things like sponsors and things like that, or donations. We also have a mutual fund for which money was invested years ago. I believe Jerry Lehman, who has since passed, when he was on the board, he helped set that up, and that's been continuing. And because of the market, that fluctuates obviously from year to year. But last year we ended up with $90,000 in total assets. The old business, we talked about things that had gone on in 20 and 2021 and the pandemic. We expanded our interest groups. And new business, we did the board elections, and we were looking ahead towards this year. So all of that's in the winter 2023 Pomona. So if you're a brand new member, you could go back and look at that if you want. So based on this, we're going to need, first of all, are there any corrections to the minutes that, you know, if you've looked at these at any in-depth, any corrections that you think we should make? All right, so without any corrections, I need a motion by someone to accept the minutes, and then I need a second. And you can unmute.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, who made that first?
I guess Dan.
Dan
Larry.
Bussey.
Okay, so Dan, and then you want to be the second, Larry?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Larry.
Right. All right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, go ahead and mute and say aye.
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 Aye. All right. Anyone opposed?
Anyone opposed, say no.
All right, minutes
Chris,
passed.
Can I interject for 1 second?
Sure.
One thing that would be super helpful for me, because I have to do the minutes and a roll call of who's present. A lot of us have incomplete names on our Zoom accounts. So unless you're in the witness protection program, if you wouldn't mind, if you open up the participant tab on the bottom and find your name, if it's not already complete, if you wouldn't mind, hover over your name and drop down the more button, and you can rename yourself to your first and last name. That would be awesome, because I will put it in the minutes. That way I rename you Larry, so you're not iPhone 2 anymore, but that would be super helpful, because then I'll do a little tally there. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so I'm going to come back to share screen. All right, so we have approved the minutes. All right, so the finance report to date, I did not get a chance to talk to Chuck this week. I've been in the process of moving my house, so that has taken precedence, but this is what I can tell you to date. So income to date based on membership only is right around $18,550. That's up from last year at this time, which was last year at this time, it was $13,000. And that's because we have more members than we did last year. Our expenses to date, our primary expense is the printed Pomona. And I will just give a little historic perspective on this. When I came on as president in 2019, the printed Pomona had stopped. There had been a decision by the past board to no longer print the Pomona for cost reasons. And as a result, we lost a lot of members. So the board agreed that we should start bringing that back. And we have been slowly adding more and more people who want the printed Pomona. The first issue that I brought it back as printed, we had 35 people receiving it. As of this last issue, we had 400 people receiving it. So each year we're increasing the number of people who want the printed version. And so therefore the costs are increasing, but we've made sure that those costs are covered by the membership fee. So we're not spending anything more to send that printed Pomona to people. The conference itself, when all is said and done, after we bring in sponsorships and give an honorarium to our speakers, the only other expenses we have are the paid Facebook ads that we run and the Zoom expenses, and that's usually less than $1,000. And I believe that's the case this year as well. We'll tally that up when the conference is done. And then we do have money set aside for grants. We call that the Claypool Lehman Research Grants. And this year, I don't think we've really had very many people apply for that. So we've only given out around $1,000 for that. And the last I talked to Chuck, I believe the mutual funds were a little over 50,000. So we're doing really, really well. and I can't remember what's currently in our checking account, but I know that between the mutual funds and the checking account, we've probably got over $75,000 in assets right now.
And Chris,
We
I don't
will,
know if you have it in your agenda, but I think might be great for anybody who's a new member to maybe explain the Claypool-Lehman Research Grant opportunity.
yes, I will do that. Remind me of that in new business.
Okay.
I'll do that. All right. So old business, just a quick review. I'm going back a couple years just because I think it's important because of the pandemic. So prior to the pandemic, we were meeting in person once a year at an annual conference. And the last time was right before the pandemic. That was in Iowa. And then when the pandemic hit, of course, everyone had to pivot in the way they do things. And so we went to a virtual conference. And we have maintained that ever since then for a number of reasons. And then we also tried to bring back some of the interest groups. Historically, prior to the internet, there were interest groups where one person was the chair, and members would become members of these subgroups, and the chair would send out updates and gather information. So there would be a persimmon interest group, there'd be a pawpaw interest group, an apple one. Those kind of fell by the wayside with the internet becoming a big thing. And so we've been trying to find ways to bring those back, in part because people have been interested in that, and not everyone is on Facebook. So we're looking at various ways of doing that, and we've succeeded in many ways, and there's other avenues that we can pursue as well. In 2022, so old business 2020, and that was 2021 as well. Old business, we increased our outreach, our diversity in our membership. I'll talk about our membership growth here in a bit. We updated the bylaws, and then this past year, we did a big strategic planning session with the board and picked out some key areas that we wanted to focus on. We've continued to increase our outreach, our diversity, and our membership. And we started having in-person events again. We began regional meetups. We had 3 this year in the Pacific Northwest, the Midwest, and the Southeast. And we've already had some people volunteer to do regional meetups next year. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Any questions about old business? You can unmute yourself if you do. Let's see.
Chris, we have a few comments in the chat, but we can come to those if you want at the end and kind of go through those.
Okay, thank you. All right. There we go. All right, so for new business, we need to talk about how the elections are going to work this year. It'll be very similar to last year, and who we have so far as nominees. Then we'll also just talk briefly about goals and regional meetups and the conference for 2024. Can I not advance? There we go. All right. So the elections. So NAFEX, according to the bylaws, say that we should maintain 7 to 15 board of directors. Currently, we have 4 officers, which are part of the board of directors, and then we also have an additional 10 directors. That's been an increase. We've been slowly increasing the number of directors since I came on, which has been very, very helpful. But this year we've got 4 people rotating off, or stepping away. So Leslie Wade has been serving for 3 years. She's been our secretary and our programs chair. She is rotating off. Taylor Yell has asked earlier this year to step off. He's had some life changes that needed necessitated him to rotate off. Tim and Jorge have also served for 3 years, and they are scheduled to rotate off. So just as a recap, that means we lose 3 here off to the side. We lose 1 of our officers and our programs director. So we definitely need to replace all 4 of them. And I would argue that it wouldn't hurt to add a couple more in addition, because the more the merrier, and the more we can spread the work around. We can also consider if there are people who don't really want to serve on the board, but they want to serve in some other capacity, a volunteer capacity like Eric and Tim do. We can always use help in the programs and the interest groups and other things. So we can definitely entertain people being involved, but not necessarily as a board of director. So far, when I sent out the Pomona a couple weeks ago, we had 2 nominees, Amy Grammer from Maine and Matt Stevens from Canada. He's in Ontario. And their bios and their pictures were presented in the Pomona. And since then, Tim has nominated 3 others, and all have accepted, and some of them are on the meeting today. Paul Hallcroft, Matt Rush, and Javier Rivera. And I'll show you some pictures, and we'll let them come on and just introduce themselves if they're here. And just to kind of give you a little insight into what the board does. Right now, we are meeting every other month via Zoom, and that's a set day and time that's consistent on that every other month. The board is responsible for selecting the officers once the new board is established, and then board members serve on committees and help out with all of the running of the aspects of the organization. We do not have any paid employees. Everything has been completely volunteer to this point. There has been discussion of potentially the need to employ someone, perhaps for certain things, if we find that the board or the volunteers can't cover what they're currently doing. So we're trying to kind of think ahead in terms of what that would take financially, but just kind of keep that in mind.
And this is Tim Lucier. I also said that I'd be happy to serve another term. So
Okay.
I would just need someone to nominate me. And then I did nominate those 3 gentlemen, Javier, Matt, and Paul, because they were Facebook fans, and they all joined on their own and saw the value of NAFEX, and spending only $19 a year, and just became active members. So I happily nominate all of them, and I think they would be great additions to the board from what I've seen of their time and talent.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
I'd be happy to nominate Tim for another session.
Okay. All right. So we'll add Tim to the list. These are the pictures that all of our nominees have sent me, and I really appreciate Javier, Matt, and Paul getting back with me this morning. I didn't really expect pictures that quickly, and they were just totally on top of it. So Amy on the left, she was the gathering editor for the Pomona this last issue, and she also helped read through the draft of that. So Amy, are you here? And if you are, can you unmute and say hello?
Hi.
Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yep, I can hear you.
I'm here. Oh, okay.
Can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself quickly?
Well, I live near Francis Peabody Shop, if anybody read my thing. So that's where I really got into food exploring, is because there is a ton of old apple trees here. So we've been looking at them. I had some genetically tested this year with some interesting results, and I just it's super interesting. So just really involved in historical apples. So yeah, I'd love this group. So it'd be wonderful to be on the board.
All right, thank you, Amy. And Matt Stevens, by chance, are you on?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Hey, can you just tell us a little bit about where you're at and your interests?
Sure. Yeah. Apologies for calling in from the car. My daughters are playing hockey inside the rink, so I jumped out of the car for the call here. Yeah. So I grew up working on farms. I spent 20 years in tech, and then I came back to farming, specifically orcharding. I've been a NAFEX member for a couple of years, and I've really benefited from the content. And so, yeah, so now I've got a 2.5 acre orchard, really focused on microbials. And then exciting as of this morning, an offer we had put in on a 55 acre apple orchard was accepted. So, about to increase the scale of the effort. So excited to continue to learning with NAFEX and hopefully contributing.
Awesome. And again, I'll point out Matt is from Canada, and currently we have no one on the board from Canada, which would be great to have someone on. If you're not aware of the history of NAFEX, NAFEX was started by 2 gentlemen, one from the US and one from Canada. So when I came on, the number of members in Canada had dwindled a lot. It has definitely increased in the last several years, and I'd love to see that continue and make sure that we have representation on the board. All right, let's see. Let's move on to Javier. I think Javier is here. Can you unmute and say hello?
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I'm really honored to be nominated to form part of the NAFEX board, especially on a day like today, Veterans Day, where we honor the sacrifice and the commitment of our veterans who sacrifice so much for our country. So, you know, it's always awe-inspiring. I'm simply a home gardener that got into fruit growing back in 2014, learning a lot of stuff from materials from Dave Wilson Nursery. I got inspired about the concept of backyard orchard culture and started growing stone fruits. But then after the pandemic hit, which coincided with a period of time where I had to sell my old home and get into a new one, when I started my home project, we were thinking about, well, are we going to start stone fruits again? And my wife told me, why don't we go with apples, which is something that you were tinkering with, but not doing a whole lot. And being from Florida, people think, oh, that's just a losing proposition. You can't do that because you don't have enough chill time. Winters are kind of like always all over the place. So you're never going to go anywhere with that. And we said, you know what, we'll just give it a shot and see what happens. And as of today, we have over 50 varieties of apples that grow in our orchard with very little chill. We're talking about less than 150 chill hours consistently for the past decade. And that has been the inspiration for me to pursue my current PhD studies at the University of Florida in horticultural sciences, where we're trying to establish stations all over the state to show folks that it's possible to grow apples, and not just a few varieties that are low chill here and there, but many of them. And it's a lot of work, but I am looking forward to reaping the fruits of that labor. And whether I serve on the board or not, I just want to say that I would like to contribute in any way that I can to NAFEX and to the mission of promoting folks to discover more about fruits, be passionate about what they like, they enjoy, and just teach others about how they can grow these wonderful fruits for us and for future generations.
Awesome. Thank you, Javier. And Matt Rush, are you here? If you are, can you unmute? We'll come back and see if Matt's here in a bit. How about Paul? Paul Holcroft, are you here?
Yeah, hey guys. Man, I would say that I put the Explorer in NAFEX. I just love getting out and going around. Where I'm at, I'm in rural northern Michigan. This area, there's a ton of old homesteads. Our area hasn't been overly developed. We've got people who are still on family property for 3 or 4 generations. I was able to acquire some property back in 21 and started planting an orchard, always from this sort of like homesteader's perspective, self-sufficiency. And that first year, probably planted around 40 trees, just anything that I could get from Tractor Supply and Lowe's. And I know that some of you are gasping right now at that thought, but I didn't know any better. It was that winter that my father-in-law started talking to me about some old apples that he had on his farm growing up, the snow being one of them. And I was like, I've never heard of this. That went into a deep dive into heirloom apples. The last 2 years, I have grafted over 300 different cultivars. I'm a little bit obsessed. I would say I want to collect them all. So I've been doing that. The other thing that I'm trying to do is get into some of these old homesteads in my area. All of them, they date back 1870s to the turn of the century. and I'm trying to get in there and take cuttings and graft some of those varieties, not knowing what they are necessarily, but figuring if they've survived for the last 150 years, there's some genetics there that's worth keeping. I also love just going out. There's a bunch of state land and just trying a bunch of wild apples as well. So I'm a amateur at this. This is a hobby for me. But like I say, I love NAFEX. One of my first posts when I discovered a NAFEX was, man, I found my people. Like, you guys have the same interest and passion and sort of get it. And so have just loved participating online and being a part of this group.
Great. Thank you, Paul. All right. One last, I can read information about Matt unless Matt is on and wants to unmute. So Matt, if you are here, go ahead and unmute. Otherwise, I'll start a little bit on your bio that I have. And he graduated from Clemson University and has since worked primarily in the field of research and the automotive industry. He has worked in silviculture, researching and promoting viable tree crop alternatives to timber and monoculture plantations. He also has an interest in working with foresters to diversify the plants used in existing necessary windbreaks and to also justify preserve areas with ephemeral water. And let's see, he says, that being said, I'm a novice in polyculture with great interest in tree nuts, fruits, and berries from the understory to the canopy, along with accompanying plants that a proper food forest should have. What else? He's currently working to increase yield on 12 acres of a second growth hardwoods in his own and converting several more acres of pasture into an orchard. He says, I'm open-minded as to the expanding future of tree crops and honored to be considered for the NAFEX board. Thank you. So how the elections will work, normally if we were meeting in person, we would hold the elections right then and there. And because of the pandemic and how we shifted to this virtual setting, I think we amended the bylaws a couple years ago to take that into consideration. And because we have members who are not online, so we always need to keep in mind, and I think this is something that had been lost about 5 or 6 years ago, but we need to keep in mind that we have or had members who were off grid, whether it be that's simply how they chose to live, or maybe they're in the Amish or the Plain communities. And we also had members who were of a generation that were not familiar with the internet. And so they never spent time on the internet and so could not really attend meetings like this online. So to be respectful of all of our members and to make sure that they all have a voice, we have pivoted so that our elections will be done virtually or by mail. So once I have the final slate of nominees, I will send that and their bios and their photos all out by email to everyone who has an email address. To those who don't have an email address, we will be mailing those by postal mail, and all of that will go out before Thanksgiving, the U.S. Thanksgiving, and then voting will occur during the month of December, and then we will announce the results toward the end of the year. So that way everyone has a chance to vote. If anyone wants to make any further nominations, we can definitely add that. So there are nominations from the floor, which we can definitely add. So at this point, I'd like to put a call out. Are there any further nominations from the floor today? If so,
just confirming, can Eric nominate me even though he's not a board member?
Yes.
Tim,
yeah. Anybody,
okay.
Any member can, and any member can nominate someone. You don't have to be a board member.
And did I need a second for that from Eric for his nomination?
No, you just need to, if you're being nominated, you just need to accept the nomination.
Got it. I will accept. And I'm just going to say again, for those three gentlemen that I nominated, I just think that they're of the NAFEX tradition. And I think that speaks a lot as as members, that they saw the value of NAFEX and they wanted to step up. And I know we've had, like me, I tried to step up to be secretary and then I kind of failed at that. And Leslie stepped up and did that as well as the annual meetings. And so I kind of told them the history that I've seen the last 3 years of how it's, growing almost to 1,000 members, and just how hard a lot of us have tried to push membership recruitment and make sure we're strong. As you've continued to publish the Pomona and lead our organization, and Chris Homanic stepped up as vice president. So I think the three gentlemen that I nominated, I think, are of the tradition that hopefully, with their orcharding and PhD like Javier's doing, and with, what Matt's trying to do with his research and stuff, I just think that they're the type of gentlemen and leaders that will try to step up and, try to help on the annual meetings or interest groups, not just kind of show up to board meetings. So
Right.
happy those guys are nominated.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, I wonder, I know that it is possible if someone is interested in serving on the board and would like to be considered, there would be opportunities at future meetings between the annual meeting. The board could appoint someone. So if you are interested in serving, but please, you could put that in the chat and we can make a note of it, get in touch, have a conversation, and look at perhaps a later addition to the board. So don't feel like because this is, all done for the year.
Right. There's always there's a provision in the bylaws, and we have exercised this in the past, as I recall. If for any reason a board member needs to step off the board or cannot serve on the board, the current board can bring in someone to replace them kind of midstream, so to speak. So we have done that in the past when we've had someone who had to come off for personal reasons. So there's always that opportunity to bring somebody on in the middle of the year or to fill someone else's spot, should that happen. And there's also other ways to serve as well. So again, as Leslie suggested, go ahead and put that in the chat if you have any interest or want to be considered for that, or helping out. Caitlin, she raised her hand. You read our minds. Leslie and I were talking about you before the meeting. Caitlin's been on all of the docs. So
I would actually nominate Caitlin if she is interested in doing it and would like to come on and just tell us a little bit about herself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin Chambers. I am located in Tennessee. I actually work full-time with the Isha Foundation, which is an international kind of yoga foundation that actually helps promote inner well-being through physical exercises as well as meditation programs. Because of that, we actually have currently about 200 people living on our campus. We have multiple yearly events where we get 3,000 to 4,000 people, and I have actually been given the wonderful task of figuring out how to make a 300-acre farm here, including fruit orchards and everything associated with that. I got the go-ahead this morning to continue researching, and I'm really excited to be able to do this. I'm actually originally from Maryland, where I did go through Future Harvest's Beginner Farmer Training Program and actually learned about NAFEX through the conference ads last year. So I've been here for a year, and after seeing this year's conference, it was giving me all the information I was hoping to find, and it's just really excited me to try to see if I can actually help continue NAFEX even more and how I can be of service to everyone here. So I'm happy to accept the nomination. I can also send in a picture and bio for the next Pomona and for the elections whenever is needed. So thank you guys for nominating me. I'm so excited.
great.
Chris, we've got some other interest in the chat. Sean Williams has said that he would be interested, and I would nominate Sean in a heartbeat. So before he can get away.
So I will just assume, since he put it in the chat, that he would accept the nomination.
Sean, you want to come on and just say a little bit about yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a sucker for punishment. I'm approaching this from a different perspective in terms of future breeding and cultivars and improving this production in the United States. So I think this is a really great way to leverage a future project that I'll be talking about as well, just with a lot of talented individuals. And so if there is, work to be done or positions that need to be filled on the board, I would gladly consider helping out.
Awesome. Thank you. All right.
Hang on one second. Lisa just had a question and she's in the chat. And so she had logged on late. And so I just had wanted to make sure that she had an opportunity. So Lisa said, thanks for explaining NAFEX's bylaws. I'm newer, have been a member for 2 years, have been active in the California Rare Fruit Growers for the last 5 years, which is awesome. Ryan Ross on our board is also active in that group. And so she asked what positions are open. So I said general board positions, but you could also say that you'd be interested in volunteering in general. So once again, if anybody just would like to figure out how to plug in but doesn't know what that looks like, feel free to put that in the chat that you're interested in getting more involved, and we can have a conversation and see a way to plug in. Like we could use somebody who just knows how to use Canva, for example.
Yeah.
Small, simple, discrete tasks. Although we will need someone to help take over as program chair, since I'll be dropping into a coma after doing it for 3 years. I'm kidding.
It looks like Melissa Flora is interested in volunteering or participating in some way. Maybe not necessarily the board right away, but we will definitely.
Awesome.
That. Caitlin says, for our Amish members who can't attend the conference, can we send them printed slides from the speakers? I'm also writing up a summary of events to put in the next one. That's a good idea, Caitlin. I like that. Yeah, let's definitely chat about that after the meeting and see how we can make that happen for those who could not attend virtually. I've been trying to slowly do some write-ups, but I think printing out the slides of the speakers would be great. And
Chris, if I could just reiterate for folks that may have joined late, it will be so helpful for me taking the minutes if those of you like Lisa who just have your first name in, if you can go in and open up the participant tab at the bottom, hover over your own name, and you'll see the more button. If you drop that arrow down, you can rename yourself with your full first and last name. And that'll be great for me for tracking the conversation in the minutes. So thank you. If you'd all do that, that would be great.
All right. So, whoops, hold on. So again, we'll send out the complete slate by email and we'll mail it to those who don't have email addresses. We'll do the voting in December, and then we'll send out the results of everything after that.
Do you want a motion and a second on that slate?
Sure, probably just to be.
Because I would be happy to make a motion to approve the slate of the folks that we talked about on the screen, and also the additions of Sean Charles Williams and Caitlin Chambers.
And then Tim.
And Tim.
We have a second for Leslie's motion.
Just unmute yourself.
Second.
I think Dan Bussey. All right, all those in favor of accepting the slate?
Aye.
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 All right, do we have anyone opposed? If so, please say no.
Can we oppose ourselves if we volunteered? I'm joking.
All right, we have a motion that has passed. All right, so next, growing forward, the 2024 conference, I foresee that being virtual again for a couple of reasons. We've had feedback that people miss the in-person experience, and I completely agree, because it's a really cool thing. What we are finding, though, are two things. One, we're reaching more people with the virtual conference. because it doesn't cost anything to attend. There's no traveling involved. And if you can't attend live, you can also see it after the fact. We have talked about a hybrid conference, which is definitely not out of the question. I think to do a hybrid conference, we would maybe need to ease into that a little bit and maybe do it in collaboration with another group. But that usually has to be planned 2 years in advance. And so definitely not ruling out a hybrid or an in-person conference in the future. We just need to have a really strong volunteer group, and we need to have boots on the ground wherever that conference would be held in order for it to be able to take off. So on the interim, or at least what we'll continue to do, is we'll continue to do these regional meetups, which gives the in-person experience to people and they don't have to travel so far. So if you joined late, we had 3 of those this year, 1 in the Pacific Northwest, 1 in the Midwest, 1 in the Southeast. I think we have at least 3 locations volunteering for next year, and we can increase that number to our heart's content. So if you are in a place and a position where you can host a little regional meetup, it doesn't have to be big. It could just be a one afternoon, one-off kind of thing. We're here to help you with that. We can help set that up easily. And it's just a great way to bring people within your region who have similar interests to talk about what's going on in the fruit growing world. So I think that's the plan going forward for 2024, and then we can look beyond 2024 as a board to see what might shake out in the years to come. We want to continue to increase our outreach, our diversity, and our membership. We've done a great job these last 3 years, and part of that has been due to our fantastic board that is a wonderfully diverse group from all over the country. And thanks to some help from Larry and Leslie, we are finally very close to having a trifold brochure that we can be giving out to people to take to events. So this brochure would talk about NAFEX, and it would have a way for people to either mail in or direct them online to sign up as members. So for example, if you're a small nursery business and you are at a farmer's market like Larry, and he's selling trees, it's a great way for him to say, hey, there's this great group you can join and learn more about how to take care of your trees and get really good information from. So the goal is to print about 5,000 of these brochures and have them available for events and for our members to take to events. So as soon as that is done, we will let you all know, and we'll figure out a way to get those dispersed to everybody. We're going to continue the monthly online interest groups, and we were really, really, really looking for volunteers to help with that. So if you have a particular interest and you want to help host a monthly meetup for that, please talk to us. Leslie has taken this on as part of, it's really a whole separate position in our minds, but she has graciously been doing this alongside the program's conference chair. And that's just a lot of work for one person. So we really would like to break this up and make sure we've got a different group of people working on the monthly interest groups to take that pressure off whoever helps head up the conference. And then just in general, we want to increase our volunteer help, and it sounds like we've got a lot of people interested now in doing that. Anything that you can do helps, and it doesn't have to be a board member. You can volunteer for one small specific thing. We have things built into our bylaws that currently aren't covered, and I just want to give you a few examples of that. So in our bylaws, technically, we should have a historian, someone who's keeping the history of NAFEX going, and we don't have a historian right now. We need that interest group chairperson that Leslie has been kind of doing most of the work for that. We need a new programs chairperson. We should have an internal auditor. So if accounting and finances are your thing, or you just like numbers, we really should have an internal auditor. Chuck Wilson, he's a retired medical doctor. He's been doing a really good job at the finances, but he can't continue doing this forever. And we really do need a second person on finances who can work with whoever the treasurer is. So if numbers is your jam, please talk to us because we would love to have some help on that. And then we really should have someone heading up a nominating committee. This year, the board kind of just pitched in and did this, but we really should have a separate nominating committee who can reach out to members and take that piece away off the board's plate, because as a board, we've already got a lot going on. So those are just some examples. So if you are someone who, wants to volunteer in some small way and just take a little thing on, please reach out to us and we'll work to try and get you in and having you help us either on a committee or taking on one of these chair positions. All right, so do we have any questions about some of these things? Let's see if there's anything in the comments. Let's see. Matt Stevens said he'd be happy to volunteer to do an interest group on microbials, beneficial fungi, and bacteria. That would be awesome. Let's talk about that for early part of 2024. Leslie, you're keeping. Will you have the meeting chat recorded?
Absolutely.
Okay, go back and look at this. Let's see. Anything else? All right, so Robert Lieberman's offering to help as well. All right, so we will go through this chat and reach out to people who have said that they're interested, and you can still keep adding your name. Jan said she can help with a meetup in Southern California. Awesome. All right, okay. So in the interest of time, let's move forward. All right, so I hope you're all committed to helping us grow. For those of you who are relatively new to NAFEX, in going through all the records, the little bit that I've done historically, we once were a group of about 3,000 members, and that was pre-internet. When I was asked to come on the board and be president in 2019, we were down to 375 members. So that's a huge drop from 3,000 to 375. Bringing back the Pomona and doing all these online meetings and conferences has helped a lot. We're now up to, as of this week, I think at the end of the day on Thursday at the start of our conference, we were at 995 members. The goals bolded here were goals that we had set kind of as a board to kind of shoot for. And I think we're doing a great job just growing every year. So I foresee,
Woo!
yeah, I foresee us continuing to grow. And I think there's definitely a need, and this has been a great community. And if you listen to any of the talks yesterday, two that stuck out in my mind, Larry and Michael from Edible Landscaping, both of them have been NAFEX members for quite some time, and both of them clearly said that, and Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are where they're at today in their nursery businesses because they met their mentors through NAFEX. So they clearly have benefited a ton from people that they have met through NAFEX. And so I think that just goes to show you that this organization has so much to give to people, and we have a lot of younger generations that we can be supporting now in the fruit growing world.
Hey, Chris, I know you're probably getting near the end of your slide deck. I just want to do a quick time check to make sure that we've got enough time for the show and tell too.
I think I'm at the end, actually. Yep. So this was one of our first virtual conferences. I can't remember who spoke, but they shared this photo. It was Nick Botner's business card, so to speak. So I want to close the meeting with that because it's always been one of my favorite memories from one of our conferences. So with that, I want someone to give us a motion to close the meeting, and then we'll need a second, and then we will shift into the show and tell.
I motion to close.
And who is that?
I'll second.
Okay, so John. Okay.
John, I'm going to.
Okay, got it.
Got it? Okay. All right, so we have closed the meeting, and let me stop my share. All right, so we mentioned this at the beginning, but go ahead and use the little hand raising function if you know how to use that, if you've got something to show and share. And let's see. All right, how about Adam? You can unmute.
Sure. How's it going, folks?
Hey, Adam.
I'm going to try and share my screen. Hopefully I can do it. All right. Can you see that?
Sure can.
Yes.
Awesome. So, folks, this is Project Pawpaw. It's been something that I've been working on for years, and I'm finally doing a public-facing kind of campaign now. It's crowd-funded pawpaw research and breeding. So we're trying to take the collaborative push we need to do to get pawpaws into the hands of small farmers and to help get them into the modern food system. A little bit of background on me. I'm a plant breeder. I did my undergrad at Rutgers University. I worked in their hazelnut breeding program. I went to grad school at the University of Wisconsin, where I worked on breeding table beets for flavor and eating quality. And that was really cool because I got the tree experience and then I got the niche crop consumer experience. I'm really excited to combine both of those back together as we work with pawpaws. And I've been growing pawpaws since I was 11 years old. I've been a big fan my whole life, and for a long time they were a cool tree to me. But now, once I got my plant breeding training, I realized they're more than just a cool tree. They're a cool tree with a lot of potential. So I'm just going to take you through the website, and it's going to give you a little bit of an overview. So this is all crowd-funded. So it's been the sale of T-shirts and merchandise and trees over the past 2 months. I went to pawpaw festivals all around the country, farmers markets, very grassroots. So there's no corporate interest or anything. It's the website here, projectpawpaw.com, has background about pawpaws for people who haven't heard of them. Although in this group, I don't have to do that. We also have a description of what we do, and there we have our kind of our three-phase approach. We're doing research, breeding, and market development. So research on the best ways to grow, harvest, and store the fruit, breeding to make new varieties that grow great, taste fantastic, but last longer, have a longer shelf life, as well as working on acetogenic content. And market development, because it's no good if we make the best variety of pawpaw if there's no way for farmers to get it from the tree to the table. So we're working on all of that, and we're teaming up with organizations and individuals as we go through that. We have an overview about how we do it. You know, here's some of our pawpaw shelf life trials where we try different post-harvest treatments and also just evaluate differences between cultivars and selections. This is, you know, basic plant breeding. It's traditional plant breeding. We're choosing parents, we're making pollinations, growing out seedlings, evaluating the progeny, and then ultimately in the future, hopefully, we'll be releasing some varieties. Let's see, I'm having trouble seeing my, whoa, you guys still see? So we also have an online store, which is this is how we're supporting all of this. So we have these like swanky Hawaiian shirts and T-shirts, all sorts of merchandise, and all the proceeds go directly to fund pawpaw research and breeding. And seriously, that's the limitation. We're putting in research orchards this coming spring. We have 1,500 trees ready to go in the ground, and then we're going to be making our crosses. We've got some awesome parent candidates that we can use to move traits like thicker skin, longer shelf life, good texture in, and what we're inhibited by is getting the large enough population size, and that's what every pawpaw breeder, every breeder has been inhibited for. But the whole history of tree breeding is having enough space and enough trees to capture the recombination you want. So once again, I wanted to thank this group because I've been a longtime member and have always enjoyed stuff, and the people that I've met through here have been a big help as I've been collecting germplasm and that sort of stuff. And I just wanted to finally share this. I've been kind of keeping it in the background for a while, but thank you all so much for your support.
Fantastic. Thank you. Michael Thompson's asking, where are you?
So Currently, I live in Wisconsin. I work for the Savannah Institute. I'm the breeding operations manager. We're breeding a whole bunch of tree crops for agroforestry systems out here. But this project right now, the research orchards are being planted in southern New Jersey. Great climate for it. It's 7A. Nice soil, flat and homogeneous to give us good results for our breeding. So we know the differences are due to genetics, not environment. And also, it's isolated from a lot of the wild populations, so we have less risk of disease getting spread because we do plan on sending scion wood all around, and we don't want to be the ones to spread disease.
Thank you. All right. You can see.
There we go.
Let's see. Dan Lefevre, you want to go ahead and unmute?
All right, this is just a thing I've figured out. A lot of people in backyards have severe squirrel problems. And I had heard that the mothballs would be effective at deterring them. They're much too toxic to use, in my opinion, for anything at all. So I, for years, had an interest in trying camphor crystals instead of mothballs for deterring peach tree borer. Never got to that trial, but did get camphor crystals online, Amazon. Actually got some from India within 10 days and hung those around in mesh bags. I was having problems. They started in on cherries a little bit at the end of the cherries and then migrated over into the unripe pears and had already 150 on the ground. Hung up those mesh bags, one in each tree with camphor crystals, and that stopped them in the pears. So I think it may be pretty effective. I'll need to trial it again next year and see. Did not get them migrated over into the hazelnuts and pecans quick enough to keep them out of there in the same area, but we'll try it next year because I've never gotten any hazelnuts. They always eat them when they're only halfway mature.
Great. Well, thank you, Dan. That's a good tip. All right. Javier. Unmute. And Javier, you may need to unmute.
I got it.
All right. So can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So recently I had a few friends of mine, Randall and Michelle White from Flawed and Famous, and they live in Southern Alabama. They came to Orlando to meet me at my residence, and I was showing them like the apple trees that we grow both in the front and the backyard, as well as some of the stuff that we're tinkering with apple seedlings that we're trying to breed, like red flesh seedlings, seedlings with some kind of heirloom varieties, and also working with stone fruit ornamentals using interstalks because our soil here sucks. So everything that survives down here is plum rootstock, and we want to create bridges that will allow us to grow things like peaches and nectarines and other ornamentals as well. So great videos. So they just got posted about a week ago, and the latest one was on Wednesday of this past week. So if you want to check them out to learn a little bit more about what we got, please feel free. I am a big supporter of the Geneva series rootstocks. They have been winners for me. And I also wanted to make a quick comment about the usefulness of this organization. It's useful in so many different ways. But for my personal experience, if it wasn't for Larry Stevenson, I wouldn't have connected with the appropriate people that gave me the opportunity to study my PhD program. So I can definitely attest to the value of being part of this organization and just just learning from all the different and talented people that are here, just knowing everything it's just amazing. And I just feel honored to be part of this group, and hopefully for many years to come.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Caitlin, did you want to hop on?
Sure. So I don't have any show today, just a little bit of a tell. As I mentioned previously, I have been approved to start the Isha farm. We are going to be having 300 to 400 acres in production. Our total land that we actually own here with the foundation is 22,000 acres. So if we need to expand, we can. So this does include the production that we'll have for our annual vegetables, but it also does include the farm itself and the orchard. So with that, I am going to be submitting kind of an entreaty/inquiry to the Pomona, asking people for some more advice on what would you want to grow here. We are, and I'll also be putting more information in that. We're zone 6B, almost 2,000 feet above sea level, mainly clay soil. I'm already, of course, going to be doing apples. Thank you, Dan. And our orchard is actually going to be a very low input, no spray with organic practices, since we're actually also going to be the model farm for the Save Soil movement going forwards. And if you guys haven't heard of that, it is actually a grassroots soil education movement and restoration that's actually going to be talked about again at COP28 at the end of the month. So really excited, really nervous, and thank you guys so much for all the information. It's really been so educational and so inspiring. So that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin. All right. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Ilona, you want to unmute?
Yes. Yeah, I'm from Alaska, so greetings from the snowy north. We've only got 2 feet of snow up here, but I actually had questions. So I belong to the Alaska Pioneer Fruit Growers Association. We have about 300 members, and we're studying different types of fruit trees that grow up here in plants. And so I went from 30 fruit trees in my yard about, 30 years ago, and just recently put in 2 acres. And I have probably 400 fruit trees and bushes, about 20, 30 varieties of apples. But my question to the group, we have a lot of Hascat berries that do fabulous up here. And we also do the bush cherries that do fabulous, and they ripen so you can actually pick them. But I've got 5 different varieties of apricots, and the problem is only about every 3rd to 5th year do they ripen. And so I'm trying to figure out what varieties of apricots might do well here in Alaska, if anybody in the chat knows.
All right. Yeah. So if anyone's got any ideas, if you can put that in the chat for her, that would be great. And then Caitlin, someone in the chat asks, someone else from Alaska asks, what was the name of your organization? If you could put that in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, it's Alaska Pioneer Fruit Growers Association. And we do tours in the summer, and then we have online video conferences like once a month. And so we actually have a fairly active group up here.
Okay, cool. All right, so if anyone can help out with those varieties for Ilona, that would be great. You can stick that in the chat. And then Sean, are you back?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Cool. I'm sorry. I was trying to use my phone because I was outside planting garlic. Yeah, I have a lot of garlic. So let me share my screen, or there we go. Share. Can you guys all see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I just had the opportunity. I was actually invited to speak at at Cider Days about a feral, or not feral, but a heritage pear that I had found. And I spoke a couple of years ago at NAFEX about the rediscovery of Dearborn seedling pear, which was a pear that was actually offered by 2 of our largest orchards in the United States, from Illinois to the Pacific coast, that both offered this really great pear, and it had fallen into obscurity and extinction until the pandemic hit, and which afforded me a lot of time to look around the general landscape. since that time, I've had the opportunity to not only speak about the pair, write about it, and participate in podcasts, but additionally, I have been able to find other pairs. And one of the super interesting things is that when you find a heritage pair, a lot of people come out of the woodworks. So on the left, we have a pair here that was found in our county. And I say we because Eric Bina is my partner in crime on a lot. We live close to each other, and we both have a problem with not being able to drive down the road and look around at trying to find fruit trees. We just can't enjoy sitting in the car. So this pair actually came to us from down the road, and it's been in the family since what we can surmise, probably the late 1930s, maybe the 1920s. It's a Bosque-like pear. I would let Eric speak about its eating quality since the fruit that I had was cracked and developed fungus, which he cannot believe I did not try regardless of that. But he tested the bricks, and it was quite good, but I'll let him speak about that. The next pair that you'll see in the middle is a monster. It's a pair that we call the 130 pair. And we discovered this actually driving back from Claypool's Persimmon Orchard. And a friend of ours who had attended school south of us actually thought it was an apple tree for about the last 50 years. So he didn't realize it was a pear. These two examples are both self-fertile pears that are growing in our area. The middle pear, the tree looks like an oak. It's massive, and it's laden with fruit. And both of these pears seem to have escaped fire blight in our area. All three of these pears, actually, that you're seeing, which is significant. If bacteria were like the state animal of Illinois, fire blight would be the state bacteria. We have it horribly here. It tends to just completely wipe out a lot of pear trees. Some friends of ours have had trees wiped out in orchards. So these are survivor pears. Two of them are probably, we can't figure out if they're heirloom pears. The Bosque-like one and Dearborn we know is a heirloom, and the middle one looks to be a seedling of Bartlett since it's coming in later. So where am I going with all this pear information? Well, just in presenting on pears, and especially like feral pears on a national scale, there's a lot of people that have been contacting me, telling me about pears that are growing all over the place in isolation, that tend to be healthy individuals. And so I thought to myself, okay, we have these breeding programs with the Harrow breeding program in Canada that's focused on fire blight. And a lot of these programs take a lot of time and a lot of money. And the thing about fruit exploration is that we all know that we can find exemplary examples of fruit in our landscape or in the landscape surrounding us if we just look or if they're there. And oftentimes these are uniquely adapted to our geographic areas that we live in, but also they have these superior genetics in terms of disease resistance because they have to survive. That's just natural selection. So where I'm going with all this is that I would like to kick off an open source breeding initiative utilizing these three pairs that you see right here as an effort to develop and distribute new types of pears that have fire blight resistance. I understand this will probably take time. We'll try to speed up some of the hybridization efforts through grafting onto existing trees that do have fire blight resistance and assessing fruit quality and disease resistance of whatever we breed. So I look at this as being a national effort in terms of drawing in fruit explorers to contribute to the germplasm that would be going into this project. I couldn't think of a better place for this project than Central Illinois, just given our horrible fire blight that we have here. And then eventually be able to get these pears into, or the offspring, into the hands of you all and people across the US with no patents or anything, just completely open source. So that's where I see not only this fruit exploration effort going, in addition to still trying to find heritage pears out there, because I feel pears don't get enough love. And yeah, so I think it's going to take all of us, but also we can start doing this together and help each other out. And maybe people can grow some pears in some areas that they aren't able to just because of the extreme fire blight pressure that they are experiencing. So with that, I don't have a real good name for this yet, but I'll come up with one. And I would hope, everyone, if you do want to participate, email me at cufruitexplorer@gmail.com. And I would be happy to add you to the list and talk to you more about this effort.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about Nick Casco, one of our board members?
How's it going, everyone?
Good.
I'm in my greenhouse right now, but I went outside and I picked a black strawberry apple to show you guys.
That's awesome.
There, bro.
It's got a little bit of bitter pit, but it's really good. But there's a bunch of red-fleshed apples that I'm breeding right now. I got one of them right here. Check out the red leaves on this one. This is a cross I've made from Enterprise and Red Love Aduso. It's starting to get its fall colors, but that was the cross I made. It was outside. I just brought it in. It's raining out here, so I'm excited to see what this one gives me. The leaves look pretty big, so it looks like it might take on a lot of the Enterprise large apple characteristics. And Enterprise is a parent of Cosmic Crisp, if anybody didn't know. So this could potentially give the red-fleshed apples more crispiness and larger apple characteristics.
Fantastic.
I'm also growing some persimmons. I've actually grafted Sophie's Gift. We were talking about persimmons in one of the sessions. I have some of those grafted out to test over here. I do a little bit of everything. I got a variegated pink lemon here, a Smith's red, orange. I still got the passion fruit vine going over here. It hasn't gotten too cold in the greenhouse yet. I'm also growing figs. This is a Satsuma mandarin. I decided to plant an apricot in here because I've been having trouble fruiting apricots outside, and I put Flavor Delight Aprium. I grafted that one right here to see if I can get some really early apricots out here in the Pacific Northwest. So that's pretty cool. I'm also growing pawpaws from seed. So Project Pawpaw, thank you for doing what you do. That really helps motivate people. I have this one seedling that's like 8 feet tall, and this is only a 2-year seedling. So I'm selecting for vigorous growth because we seem to not get enough heat hours here in Northwest Washington. So I need as much vigor as possible. And this is that's a Davis seedling, which is also an early pawpaw. So we need early pawpaws and vigorous pawpaws. And part of the reason is also to ripen the wood to make them cold hardy. Timothy talked a little bit of wood ripening for persimmons on Friday. So I think that's also the case for pawpaws here in the Pacific Northwest, where they'll just grow so little and not have enough time to ripen the wood to take the winters, even though they should be cold hardy. That's the issue I ran into when I just started with pawpaws in 2016, I believe. So anyway, I'm not going to take too much time. When I have stuff to show and tell, I post it on my YouTube. So if anybody wants to see more, my YouTube name is Nick Casco. You can check me out there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nick. All right, we've got about 10 minutes left. So, and several people who have their hands up. So try to limit it to 2 minutes. Alex Tank.
And Chris, while Alex comes up, we actually could go over, if folks are interested, we can go over about 10 minutes, and then we need to hop off and get ready for the keynote. So it's up to you.
Hey, yo, just wanted to give y'all a little heads up that like persimmon leather is incredible. You just got to make it a really thin leather. So maybe 1.25 cup per square foot of leather. It pairs super well with hazelnuts, super well with pecans. I don't think many people are doing this, at least with pure American persimmon. So I just wanted to tip you off on that. And then also, Bill Whipple was an inspiration to me in July at the NNGA conference. He was like, yeah, so if you need to process something in some particular way, just start like playing around and tinkering with shit. And I just wanted to pass that on to y'all. Yeah, like playing around in the shop is so much fun. And that's how things used to get done, and people are like afraid to do it these days. So please do more of that. But thank you, y'all.
So Alex, are you just taking the pulp and spreading it out? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's just got to be a really thin, uniform layer.
Yeah, I can second that. I've done that for years. It's really good.
Yeah, awesome. Glad you're doing it, Eric.
Thank you. All right, John. I don't know John's last name, but John, if you want to unmute.
Sure. I'm in Southwest Nebraska, John Hastings, and I've got probably 1,000 fruit trees, but I'm playing around with persimmon because we have late spring freezes often that make it so that we can't have apples or pears. We might go 2 or 3 years without apples. So this is a WS810, a later fruit, and it seemed to handle the freezes we got in October pretty well. We got down to 24 3 times, and then I picked the tree before we got down to 13. I wasn't chancing that, but I've got quite a few varieties. This is Keener that gets pretty big, and it tasted pretty good, but it's pretty fibrous. And then I want to share my screen just for a second. So I'm getting quite a bit of fruit. So I just lay them out on the counter, and we were eating some, but this is what the freezes do to the fruit here. For varieties that are later, they'll just, they're still green and it'll freeze them and they'll turn purple and they're just going to be bad. But we were making quite a bit of pulp too. But yeah, the climate here, it gets really hot in the summer and the persimmon love that, but it freezes early enough in October sometimes that the later varieties just aren't the best. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this, but I have really a lot of persimmon planted and just experimenting with varieties. And so there's a WS810, just I think before I picked everything off. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to share.
Can you remind us? You might have said it, I missed it. Can you remind us where you're at?
I am in Southwest Nebraska. It's on the borderline of where you actually have humidity and where it's a desert climate. So we kind of get a mix of both. But in the summers, we usually have humidity that holds the temperature through the night. So, the temperature is pretty good for getting persimmon to do well. But yeah, we have dry periods too. And getting persimmon started has been a challenge. What ended up working for me is starting them from seed and growing them inside of 2-foot tall blue tubes. That seems to offer them some protection and lets them get started. Once they come out of those 2-foot tubes, they take off and they're fine.
Chris, that makes me think of the session that we did last night. If anybody missed Timothy Lane's session on hybrid persimmon, go watch it when those recordings are up in a day or two. It was amazing and packed with all kinds of great information.
I do have JTO2 that the late spring freezes we had last year evidently really affected that. I hardly got any blooms on those trees. And then the fruit that I did get, it's just late enough that I may have trouble ripening those. I did pick the fruit to bring it inside to see if it would finish ripening, but it was still fairly green on the tree, just the slightest hint of starting to turn color. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. It's orange and hard as a rock still right now.
All right, great. Thank you, John. Let's go to Amy. Amy, you can unmute.
Hi, see if I can share my screen. Okay, so this is an apple that grows around here. I found it in 2 different orchards. I didn't realize it was the same apple, but I had it genetically tested, both of them, and they came out to be Duchess crossed with Red Astrakhan. And Francis Peabody Shop did all his crosses with Duchess, which New Brunswicker, but anyway, they're kind of this. There's a controversy if they're the same or not, which is funny because I thought one was a New Brunswicker and was a Duchess, and they ended up being the same thing. So it's kind of amusing. But anyway, they don't know what this variety is, Duchess. So it might be one of his experiments, that because when he died in 1903, like they kind of abandoned that because they cut down all his experimental orchards. He has like over 5 that are named, but there's no description of them. But anyway, they're gonna it's gonna get Paul Cron did this for me and the husband lab in Ontario, and he's gonna see if he can run it through the European database to see if there's a cultivar that matches that. And the Brits were interested in him, so it might be in the England's heritage collections. So that you know what I mean. So I could know what this is, and it would be great if it could be actually one of his and have the name that he chose on it. Now, all there is Crimson Beauty, I think, of his apples that are still for sale, and you can get that from Maple Valley Orchards. So that, oh, wait a minute, I was going to show different. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, okay. So there's that. This is what it has, a little red stain like Red Astrakhan, and there's a nice picture of it. And here's a bunch in a bucket, and that's under the tree. That's under one of the trees that just have a lot of apples. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say.
Great. Thank you, Amy. All right, and last one, Matt.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. So I know we're short on time, so I'll be quick here. But I realize I've been running an experiment that I should have asked the NAFEX community for input on beforehand, and I didn't. So hopefully, now is better late than never. So up on the tree lines, you can't really, hopefully you can see that. You can't really see. I have a bunch of trees back there, and that's where NAFEX got me hooked, because I have a bunch of pawpaws and apples and plums and cherry plums and a whole bunch of stuff that I can do. But those rows that hopefully you're seeing, so I'm running an experiment where there's 28 rows. And I wanted to really understand myself, how much do microbials matter or not. So each of those rows has a different treatment. So in the row, you have alternating stone fruit, apple, pear, and the stone fruit ranges between cherries, plums, peaches. A lot of those that I grafted, thanks to NAFEX videos. I watched the NAFEX grafting video many times. But yeah, so, and some of those I bought from nurseries. And so some rows have, beneficial bacteria and beneficial fungus and humic acids and nutrients when planted. Some don't. Some are missing one of the elements. Some I'm spraying with Michael Phillips, holistic sprays. Some I'm not. Some I'm putting wood vinegar on. Some I'm not. And I'm going through and I'm trying to understand the difference in the health of the different rows to see if there's any strong difference based on, what I did at planting time versus what I'm doing with foliars after, to see, where there's a big impact or not. And I've been going through and testing the results. I'm a certified lab tech in the Dr. Lane Ingham program. So I've been doing microscopy. I've also been doing more traditional soil tests, the more mining assays that John Kempf recommends. I'm not doing SAP analysis yet. So I'm just kind of doing everything because I don't really know what I'm doing. But I'm just trying to figure out if I see a difference or not. So I asked everyone, and I'm just, now that the season's done, going through and took a lot of photos of the trees before and after to, I'm measuring a few different things to understand if there's a response. So I'll have those first cut of the results pretty soon. So I'm going to share those with whoever is interested. If you are want to get them as soon as they're ready, email me. I'll put my email in the chat. And yeah, and if you have critiques or criticisms or ideas on what I should try, I'm at that's 2 acres that you see there in those rows. I'm doing another 2 acres in the spring, and I'm trying to figure out what I should test. So if you have things that you would be interested in hearing me test, that'd be great. There's about 100 different varieties of fruit trees in that mix. So sorry, that was a little longer, 2 minutes, but hopefully that's my ask for everyone. If you want the results, email me. If you have critique or criticism or suggestions on what I should test or how I should, evaluate if there's a response or not, let me know. So, yes.
So,
please.
Matt, if you have access to the chat, there are a couple of questions that people have directed to you.
Okay, perfect. And where am I? Sorry, just a question. So I'm 5A in the American system. I'm 5B in the Canadian system. Have you considered using? I haven't tried Korean natural. I am because I'm going through the Dr. Lane Ingham program, so I'm doing aerobic teas on a lot of them. So I'm doing that. But I haven't tried the Korean natural farming. But Caitlin, I'd love to ping you offline to understand a bit about that. Don't agree. I think it's for Nick. Is there any other questions? Might be a good Pomona article. Yeah, Sonia, I'd love to write one. I'm just compiling the results now. So, but there is some anecdotal differences where it's interesting because I made a couple of mistakes and I inoculated some things that I didn't in rows that got nothing. And those trees have demonstrably less pest pressure. Because I was going down the row, I'm like, this doesn't make sense because this tree is different than other tree in this row. And I'm like, why is that? And then I realized it was like one of the 2 trees that I accidentally inoculated. So there's some interesting anecdotal things, but I would like statistical data.
Great, thank you. All right, I think we're going to finish up with Leslie. You want to pop on and just...
Sure. Let me do a quick screen share here. I just pulled up Bob Purvis's orchard because he's amazing. Let me move my controls.
Yeah, if you missed the chat, he was brought up as someone to talk about apricots in Alaska.
And lots of cold hardy fruit because he's up in Idaho, I think, and he's amazing. So I'm here with my husband, Ed, and we were lucky enough to be with Sean Charles at the 4th annual Wild and Seedling Pomological exhibition that happened it always happens in the first weekend of November as part of Franklin County Cider Days. So I'm encouraging everybody to go. There's lots of cider activity. We had some roasted chestnuts. Matt works at Carr's Cider House, and it's an awesome place. That's Matt. That's his graphic. He goes by Gnarly Pippins on Instagram, and his website is gnarlypippins.com. So I've got a little video just to give you a taste of what it looks like.
Beautiful little I don't think you can get it.
So it was incredible, and Matt has posted online what the winners were, and I'll save a PDF of this and put it in our bonus resource folder that we're going to have online along with all of the recordings. But some of them, this was Purple Rain by the Montezuma Orchard Restoration Project. It got Best in Show and Best Quality Eating. There was, anyway, so I'll go through just some pictures of these so you can see generally what they are, and you could pull it up on the PowerPoint if you want. Best Crab Apple. I love this name, November Napalm. Best Pear came out of California, so they had pears as well. So if you have a wild or seedling apple or pear, I encourage you to submit it to this because I'll show you in a second. Oh, my favorite name was Compost Toilet. That was an awesome one. And then Royal Tannin Bomb. So very funny. And oh, look, there's Sean Charles. He submitted his Kung Fu Classic, which is an apple that he found in his area in Illinois, and he also gave a talk, which is cool. And I think one of the best parts are the tasting notes that come up for each of these ones. They just are a freaking riot. It's like this one on High Street Hijinks. It's like bubblegum, tropical, yeah, daddy, sugar me and pass the insulin. Pineapple, yes, pineapple, persimmon, pawpaw, tastes like pawpaw, and a kale Caesar. I don't know. Anyway, so it was, the tasting notes are almost worth it. He also did a day of apple talks that were awesome. And one more quick video. Just look at the differences.
Yeah.
So you get the idea there. And he did guided cider tastings with certified sommeliers. That's a thing. We know about sommeliers, they're sommeliers. And in the end, he produces a beautiful journal where he puts gorgeous photographs of these fruits with their descriptions from the folks that sent it, and also some of the tasting notes in there. So in closing, this is how you would submit a wild or seedling apple entry. You can find that all on gnarlypippins.com, but I totally suggest if you know someone who has one, I would definitely encourage them to submit it next year. So.
Thank you, Leslie. All right, so thank you all for attending, going through the business side of things. That's something that I know is not always fun, but something that's always necessary and it helps guide us in the future. And thank you guys for sharing all the cool stuff that you're doing. Many of you could write simple paragraphs or two for the Pomona and send those in on what you're doing. That would be very helpful. If you're new to NAFEX, the Pomona traditionally has been people from all around the North America writing about what's going on in their little orchards. You don't have to be an expert. It can be just a simple paragraph. But that's what NAFEX was founded on. And that got kind of lost for a little while. And people were just putting in canned articles from around the internet, which wasn't very fun. And I am thrilled that a lot of people are starting to write back in and just telling us what they're doing. So let's keep that tradition going. And even if it's just a short little paragraph, share what you are finding, seeing, maybe who you visit, and let us keep putting those things in the Pomona, because I think that's, that's what makes us unique and really keeps things fun and interesting for people. So in closing, just here in 20 minutes, we get a short little break and we will end our conference with the keynote, Dr. Elaine Ingham, who is the person who coined the term soil food web. We'll get into what she does, but she was really tuned into what's going on in the soil long before most people were. And so she's just a wealth of information. And as I think a couple of people have already mentioned, I know there's a couple of people on this talk, including myself, who've gone through some of her courses. You're just going to learn so much from her. So join us here in 20 minutes for our final keynote. That will be the webinar. Check out the link that's in your email.
Can we do that thing where we have everybody turn on their video and just smile? Because I'm going to do some screenshots because it's really fun to see it all together. So if you can, turn on your camera. That would be awesome. Just give us a nice big smile. And I'm going to just do some quick screenshots. Let's see. Hang on. Keep doing it. Yeah, we got more people coming on. This is great. And great. This is awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Cool.
Thank you. We'll see you guys in 20 minutes. All right.